30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on kind of a cloudy, overcast Tuesday in Nashville, Tennessee. We welcome all of you to the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue, and we ask you the question, have you ever had a day where you had a good plan set up by 9 o'clock and the whole thing went, welcome. Welcome to our show.
It hasn't happened in a while. Today was the day.
Today was one of those days, but you'll notice, Billy, that not that I'm, cool, calm, and collected, but I've been doing this a while.
Yeah, that'll play.
You just have to go with the flow. I'll explain a little of where we're going here. First of all, there is some breaking news out of the Titans camp, and in about 45 seconds, we'll tell you what that is. Tony Basilio will not be able to be with us. Bless his heart. He's sick as a dog and not even doing his show today, which is a rare deal. So I knew he wasn't feeling well. Tony, if you're watching, and my guess is you aren't, get well. Get well, my friend.
Yeah, it's a bad Tuesday when you don't have Tony, but we'll see if
we'll make it work.
We can make it work.
We got a lot in here, and the promise of something tomorrow that is going to get your attention. Believe me. But first, let's get to our daily Titans update with Terry McCormick, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. So dial her up at 615-969-4350. Terry McCormick, of course, with Main Street Media. I'll let him break the news.
Well, George, about an hour ago, Mike Vrabel came in for his weekly press conference, and he right off the bat announced that going forward, that Will Levis is going to be the Tennessee Titans starting quarterback, and that Ryan Tannehill, who is making his way back from an ankle injury, is going to be the backup.
Okay, so Terry, let's start with this. And by the way, Terry's going to rejoin us at 2:20 for a little added perspective. By the way, new shirt?
No, I've had it for a while.
Okay, looks good though.
Thank you.
How did they inform Tannehill?
I think he just had a meeting with him, and then later after that, he announced it to the team that they were going forward with Levis. So it was kind of, I guess, short and sweet. But, he said Tannehill was disappointed in it, but handled it like a pro, and he knows that he'll be ready to play if called upon.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Look, is it fair to Ryan Tannehill? Probably not. But the consolation prize is he's making a buttload of money. And so let's not have a big crying session for him here because he's done very well by this franchise. And hopefully they've done right by him for the most part as well. I just don't see they had any choice.
No, they really didn't. I mean, given the situation being 3-5, I mean, it would take a serious, unexpected turnaround for this team to jump back into contention. But I think that, they owe it to Will Levis to kind of see what they have in this kid and see what they can do, to develop him going forward, to see if he can be the franchise quarterback that they have sought for so long in the draft and have not been able to find, really.
Terry, what else came out of the session today?
Well, Vrabel wouldn't give up the changes on the offensive line. There, obviously going to be some with the loss of Nicholas Petit-Ferrer. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction they go. Given that they've made a change in quarterback, I don't see them really going back to Andre Dillard at left tackle unless they just don't feel like there are any other options. I think they owe it to themselves to either take a look at Dylan Radins there or to take a look maybe at Jalen Duncan there, because it feels like that as they're turning the page on Ryan Tannehill to go with Will Levis, they owe it to Levis and they owe it to this team to try and turn the page and fix the offensive line as well. Another thing, too, it didn't come out in the press conference, but I've been able to confirm it. They are waiving nose tackle Naquan Jones, who was in his third season here. He'd been an undrafted rookie that they had developed out of Michigan State, but they have decided to go a different direction, which is a little bit odd, but a move that they have made.
Do you care to speculate on why?
No idea, unless they just wanted to, go a different direction, maybe look at some other areas of the team and whatnot that maybe they need to upgrade or need to bolster because of injury. Because, they do have some offensive linemen who are beat up and, dealing with injuries. Traylon Burks is in the concussion protocol. Vrabel said he probably won't be back. By the way, they're supposed to work out Martavius Bryant tomorrow, guy who once was a star in the league, but fell on some hard times due to some substance abuse issues and whatnot. And he's going to come in for a workout, or is scheduled to.
Okay, let's leave it there, and then you rejoin us at 2:20 for what we'll call, you like this, added perspective.
Added perspective, George.
Yes. Terry, great work as always. Thank you. Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. So dial her up at 615-969-4350. Before we bring Kelly Holcomb to our microphones, tomorrow, if you don't listen to one other show that we do, make sure and be with us tomorrow, because Chris Ballas from the Wolverine will join us. And I'll tell you what, the info that he threw at me today of what he thinks is coming, holy moly.
The Michigan.
Wow.
He's the Michigan man right there.
He is, and he will join us tomorrow at 2:20, and you need to join us as well. This is going to be appointment listening, if there is such a thing. Now, let's say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
Holy moly, huh?
Holy moly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that phrase.
By the way, he is very close to one of your theories. So I want us to all repeat together. Are y'all ready?
Ready.
Sure.
OH.
I-O.
Thank you. Very well done. That was beautiful.
Knew that.
OHIO.
That's going to be interesting, man. That's going to be. He's an insider. That's going to be interesting because your boy Harbaugh, until he gets blasted for just evidence, he's going to deny.
Yes, he is, isn't he?
Diplomatic immunity.
What was that, Billy?
Hearsay.
Hearsay. Okay. As opposed to Indianapolis Colts owner Irsay.
Yeah. Did you see him, by the way, in the locker room?
Yes. He's a piece of work. Kelly's probably got an anthology series about him as well.
No, I really don't, man. He was one of those owners that was not, he was around, but he wasn't really around. He's in the building, but like you didn't see him much. And I don't know if that's changed.
Oh, he's around now.
Well, when I was up there, man, he kind of stayed behind the scenes, and you knew he was always in, but like you never, he would come out there to practice sometimes, but it wasn't frequent. So he's obviously changed a little bit.
So he never had any meetings with you.
Yeah, no, he didn't have any meetings with me, brother.
Just wanted
that was Bill Polian.
wanted to
Bill
confirm
Polian,
the obvious.
Yeah, Bill Polian. We're not going to do that. We're just doing it.
Billy, do we have an update?
We do, and
I
we're going
figured
away
we
from
might.
football here. College basketball
Really?
tipped off last
Yeah.
night, and Belmont got a big win over Georgia State, 89-87.
Do you want me to set this up?
Well, I can.
Okay.
Vanderbilt transfer Malik Dia, who was a freshman last year. He actually went to high school at Ensworth, played there. Big kid, and didn't really work out at Vandy. Transferred to Belmont, and he had quite the night last night.
And Carrium, bad pass, steal by Dia. 1-2, and he throws it down.
Uh-oh.
And Carrium, bad pass, steal by
Hey,
Dia.
the toilet got flushed.
And he throws it down.
Wow. I was there.
Get out
And
the way
the
for
interesting
Malik
thing
Dia.
is he had this monster game last night, but he had not exactly been Kareem Jabbar in their
No.
scrimmages. And so this was a plus that they may not have seen coming. Georgia State, very athletic. That's a good win for Belmont.
It is a good win, and like I said, he just didn't work out at Vanderbilt. Looks like he'd lost some weight, and he's more athletic. And I mean, you're 6'9" and can do that. You're gonna dominate at that level.
Good for him.
And he did last night. So Belmont got a win. Tennessee beat Tennessee Tech as well. So I don't think
There's a big shocker.
they had much
That's
trouble there.
shocking.
Vandy plays Presbyterian tonight at Memorial Gym, so that'll be fun. We've also got Nashville SC playoff game, game 2, finally, after game 1. What was it, a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, it was a week ago.
A week ago.
Yeah.
I was kidding. Tonight,
No,
not 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock Pacific time. They got all kinds of different times here. 8 o'clock tonight Central. So 9 Eastern tonight for Orlando.
For
and
Nashville SC.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the Preds are also back in action tonight against Calgary.
Or as Terry Crisp has called them, Calgary.
Calgary.
Okay.
And then they've got Winnipeg on Thursday.
Winnipeg afterward.
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then they actually come home after the CMAs.
Right after the CMAs.
Yeah.
CMAs
are tomorrow night.
Okay.
And what happens traditionally, the Predators go on about a week and a half road trip so that the CMAs can come in and take over and do their thing.
Am I right in saying Peyton Manning is?
Yes.
He is.
He and Luke Bryan.
Yeah, he and Luke Bryan. Once again, they did it last year, I think.
Oh, did
Did Peyton invite you to be a part of it?
No.
No. Did he call you?
No.
Okay. Does he know your name?
Don't really care.
You were his backup. I mean, I'm just kind of curious.
I don't really care, George.
Wow.
Sorry.
Peyton, if you're listening, give Kelly a call. Man,
He texted me. He texted me this morning because it's Tom Moore's 85th birthday.
So are we saying happy birthday to Tom?
I did say happy birthday to Tom, and then he told me if he said it, he texted me, and I'll just give you his words here. He said, "Did you winterize that pool?" And what he's talking about is he always told me I had an above ground pool.
Oh wow!
Told me I was in the trailer park with an above ground pool. He said, "Have you winterized that pool yet?"
He's a piece of work.
That's what he wants to know.
Let's get him on sometime.
I know we need to get him on, but I don't
Work
know if
on
he'll
that.
do it. He may. I mean, he may. I'd love to get him on. That'd be great.
Oh, it'd be hilarious.
It'd be a rip session for me. I told him why not splurge and go out and fix his toes, because they used to tell him he had petrified toenails. So
Oh, that's awful.
I don't know if who I want to see more on the show, Tom Moore or Boots Downley. I know.
Well, I think both of them can serve the same
purpose.
Yeah, they can tear into Kelly. We'll all enjoy it.
Oh, Boots
Coach Donnelly's not going to tear into me because I'll tell Tom Moore too, and I've told you all this. I ain't scared to whip an old man. Okay?
Nice attitude. Really nice attitude. Happy birthday, Coach
80,
Moore.
85, yeah. I don't care if you're 85, dude. I'll still whip you.
Coach Moore, if you're watching this, and I don't think you are, you deserve better. Way better. Are we done with the update?
Just about. The Rams are signing Carson Wentz. So that
Really?
that happened. Yep.
Wow.
So Stafford,
I
of
thought
course,
he was in the witness protection program.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he had been out on the market. I don't know if he's been working out and training. I'm sure he has, but he's going to have to probably play for the Rams with Stafford out.
Stafford's out. Who's the backup?
Their backup is Brett Rippon, I think.
Mark's
Yeah, Brett Rippon. That's
nephew.
right. Mark's son. Is
Yep.
it nephew or
Son or nephew? It's one of them.
I don't know.
He's related.
Went to Boise, right? He's Boise State.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was 130 yards and an interception last week. So I think they think Witz can either do just as good or better than Rippon right now. So they picked him up. And that'll about do it.
Okay. After the break, added perspective on the latest news. The Titans, and I have no idea whether they really wanted to do this or felt like they were backed into such a corner that they had no choice. But they have announced that Will Levis will be the starting quarterback for the rest of the season. Ryan Tannehill will serve as his backup. And, of course, as all of you know in football, with injuries, you can say all this now. We'll just see how it plays out. Terry McCormick rejoins us in about 3 minutes.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Okay, we're back. If you're just joining us live, the news got out about an hour ago. Mike Vrabel announcing that Will Levis will be the Titans' starting quarterback for the rest of the season. Ryan Tannehill will serve as his backup. I've asked Terry McCormick, TitanInsider.com, to rejoin us for a little added perspective. So, Terry, I want to say this in a complimentary way because Mike Vrabel is not a guy who gives in easy. And I think that's been one of the strongest points he has as a head coach. Deep down, the cynic in me is saying he didn't make this decision. He went kicking and screaming into this decision. So it's one of three. It's either Vrabel, the GM Rand Carthon, or Amy Adams Strunk. Who do you think made the decision?
Well, I think probably going back to the whole thing when Rand Carthon was hired, this whole collaboration thing, I got to believe that Vrabel took the input from others, and then I think he probably ultimately made that decision, George. Amy Adams Strunk doesn't appear to be willing to insert herself into certain situations the way her father did, but she does still hold the trump card if she wants to play it. But I got to believe that after assessing everything and seeing what this young kid potentially brings to the table, I think they probably came to a decision as a staff that Will Levis was the way for this franchise to go.
Let's bring Kelly into this as well, because I'm going to want his input on all of this. Barring injury, does this pretty much guarantee Ryan Tannehill is gone at the end of the year?
Yeah. I mean,
either one of you.
I think so. Yeah, I think so, George. I mean, I really do. I mean, I've talked on this show ad nauseum about how I like Ryan Tannehill, but he's getting older. And with the way things are going, and Terry's talked about it, Vrabel even said it in his press conference, there's something that Will Levis has given this team, has given the fans, have given the front office. And, like Watson said a couple of weeks ago, I mean, they took a deep sigh. They took a deep breath when he took the field, and then they let it all out because he played like they thought he could play. He just gives them something. He can make things happen with his feet. His decision making, we talked about it yesterday, has got to get better. But they're different. They're a different team, and I think the way that they're trending right now, they need a spark, and Will Levis gives them their spark.
So, Terry, I totally agree with that there's a spark he's given them. But they have put out some real BS about he's third behind Malik Willis. I mean, why were they doing that?
Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I guess the only reason that I could probably come up with is the fact that Levis missed a lot of the preseason with that quad injury that he had that kept him out of the final two games. So he didn't really get a chance to show much of what he could do. And they did have the sample size of Malik Willis that they saw throughout the preseason. So I guess they kept the depth chart as it is, at least, publicly. But it sure seemed like that, once Levis got his chance, I think everybody wondered, like, well, why was this kid number 3 on the depth chart and not number 2 if he's coming in and doing this type of thing, especially in light of the way that Willis has struggled to really grasp the pro game and how it works in terms of timing and getting rid of the football.
So, Kelly, is that as simple as mind games?
I mean, that happens, George. You know that. That always. There were guys that played mind games in the NFL when I was with Cleveland. Our head coach was notorious for it. I mean, he played mind games with myself and Tim. And it was always that situation where I knew that if I didn't play good, Tim was probably going to come into the game. And then Tim felt the same way. So subconsciously, that. And that stuff does happen. But I think Terry's right. I mean, I don't think they saw enough of him when he got injured in the preseason. And they were kind of, they don't want it won't happen. They don't want him to lose his confidence. And I think they didn't see enough of him. But it's gotten to the point now that they're 3-5. What else have they got to lose? I mean, they moved up in the draft to pick him at the top of the second round. And if he's going to be your guy that you think he is and the guy for the future, You're 3-5 right now. So, hey, let's try to make a run at this thing. But even Vrabel said it in his press conference. The only way you learn at any sport, at any position, is to get out there and get the experience of playing. You've got to go through things. You've got to understand situations. And sometimes you're going to mess up in those situations. Sometimes you're going to come out on top of those situations. But you got to go play. And the thing that I worry about, and Terry in the opening talked about it, but I'm just worried about the offensive line because with the Petit Frere guy out, 4 of those guys came out of the game the other day. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to be said there. If you don't have guys up front, that's where both sides of the ball is one on, and if you don't have that, you obviously got to have a guy that can move. But it kind of worries me about can he stay healthy because he was injury prone the last couple of years when he was at Kentucky. So we'll see how that goes.
So let me toss this one at both of you. Do we think Ryan Tannehill wants to play NFL football next season?
Well, I think, that's only a question he can answer. But I'll say this, and Kelly, please feel free to disagree. And this is just speculation on my part. When you're a guy like Ryan Tannehill and you've made a lot of money, you've got a family, you've got a wife and kids, you just got your private pilot's license, I may be wrong, but unless a starting opportunity presents itself somewhere, a chance to go in and compete to be a starter, maybe with Arthur Smith in Atlanta or a couple of other places, I don't see Ryan Tannehill myself as the type of guy who's going to sit around and back up C.J. Stroud for 2 years and then retire. What do you think, Kelly?
I'm kind of on that same note. He's made a lot of money. He doesn't have to work anymore the rest of his life. He doesn't want to. That's just a hard thing to kind of swallow. Now, he did it when he came here, but, he's played for how many years has he played, Terry? Do we know? I mean,
this is year number 11 or 12. He came out in the 2012 draft.
I was going to say it's double-digit years.
Yeah, so he's played a long time. I just don't know. Like, it just depends on what a guy wants. Does he want to keep playing, making money? It just seems like he's, like you said, he's got a family. He's got other things that are extracurricular that he wants to do. I can't see that, but we can't, Terry said it. We can't answer that. I don't know what he wants, but some guys want to just stay in the league and they don't mind being a backup. I don't know if I just couldn't do that. I don't think if I'd started as much as he has now, if he goes to a situation where they got an offensive line, they got playmakers outside and he can do some things and he can come in and play. Absolutely. But if not, I would holler at everybody. You wouldn't see me ever again.
Well, and Terry, it's interesting. George and I were talking to somebody off air before one of our shows last week, and we said, well, if he's not a Titan this year, could he retire? If the Titans end up releasing him, would he stay in Nashville? Would he potentially retire and end up living in Nashville? And this guy said, no, he's got a place in Miami. He's more of a Florida guy, and that it brings me to ask you, why don't you think did he not want to dip into the Nashville community like full throttle? Because I don't think he really did. And do you think that could have helped his cause with, just didn't feel like no one really hopped on full throttle with the Tannehill bandwagon?
Perhaps. I mean, that's obviously, fans think that, in a different way a lot of times than players do. And this may be more of a question for Kelly because he moved around a few times and, played for a lot of different teams and, and that sort of thing. But it just seems like that Tannehill and his family are very comfortable in South Florida. And that's where he kind of, made home, just like a lot of guys that have played here over the years. This was maybe the first place they got to, and they made Nashville home. So I don't think that has any impact on, him not coming to Nashville to me to live permanently. I don't think that makes a lot of difference to most people. I think most people look at it and they want to see production on the field. As far as where he makes his home in the offseason, that's certainly his prerogative and his choice. And he and his family apparently like South Florida. So, that's great.
Yeah, I don't blame him liking South Florida because I would go to South Florida too. I was just a Tennessee guy. So, Tom Moore used to tell me, the further you went, son, you're going to Canada, because my last team was Minnesota. So, I always knew that I was moving back to the volunteer state because I'm from here, met my wife here. So I always, but it's, it's a guy's prerogative. Now, a lot of guys like Steve Hutchinson, I mean, he's on our board at the National Football Foundation. A lot of guys that play for the Titans, they love living here in Nashville. I mean, they loved it, especially what happened with the COVID stuff. You were a lot freer here than you were a lot of states. So, a lot of guys just they tend to stay here, but there's a lot of guys that live here and a lot of guys that live in Atlanta, but it's kind of preference of where you want to go.
Okay, let's end this way. And Terry, stop me if you disagree with any of this. The fan perception of Ryan Tannehill was terrific until January of 2022. And from the minute the Bengal playoff loss happened, the feelings about him turned decidedly negative. Here's what I want to know. If that game had been a Titan win and Tannehill had played brilliantly, anything different today?
They maybe don't draft Will Levis.
Right.
And that would be my thought on it, because if he leads them deeper into the playoffs that year and perhaps the Super Bowl, because they were the number one seed, then a whole lot of other hypotheticals could possibly play out. The very next draft, John Robinson took a flyer on Malik Willis. That didn't work out. And then Rand Carthen came back and drafted Will Levis. So it appeared that from the moment that loss happened, that the window had started to close almost, and the Titans looked like they were willing to explore what was next.
Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of second that. It's funny how you got to go out into the community, and I know what Billy was talking about earlier. You have to be, you have to be really readily available for that stuff, and I'm sure he has been. But when fans turn against you, I was just thinking about that when Terry was talking about it. It used to be back in the days of Johnny Unitas and Joe Namath. Those guys stayed at one team and they were beloved by their team. But nowadays, guys are making so much money and the world of free agency. So nobody stays for a long time, with the exceptions of like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, which, Peyton goes to Denver and then Brady goes to Tampa. But they stayed at the places that drafted them for a long time. And you just don't see that happening much anymore, George. So, it's funny how fans can turn on you. I understand the position, and I know exactly the game you're talking about. It really bothers me because people they're fans for a reason, but they start talking about things that, I know that Hard Knocks and stuff is giving them an opportunity to see behind the scenes, but when it really boils down to it, they don't really know what's going on behind closed doors, and they don't understand that. When a guy throws an interception, it may be the quarterback's fault, but it might also be the receiver's fault of not running the right route, or a back not picking up who he's supposed to, or the offensive line screwing up in their slide and one of them doesn't get there's a lot of things that go into it. And that's what kind of griped me about Ryan Tannehill about that playoff game, because the sky was the limit for that team. They came in, they were really good, but Joe Burrow came in and beat them, and he's done that to quite a few folks. He went to Buffalo last year and beat them in Buffalo. So fans turn on you. That's just the way it is, especially when guys are making all this money, George.
Terry, anything you want to leave us with on all this?
Well, I think, in one sense of this, I think the Titans, it's interesting and it's going to be exciting that they're turning the page and going forward with Will Levis to see what he can be, and perhaps he can be a franchise quarterback for them down the road. But on the other hand of it, it is always the flip side of it, and you certainly. I think Ryan Tannehill came out of this a little bit underappreciated for what he's done for the Titans over the last 4 years.
I would not disagree with that. And I think I go back to that cold day in January. That's where that really shifted. Until then, I thought he had been pretty well appreciated here. But from that day forward, it felt like people were sniping, waiting for the next mistake to say, see. Anyway, Terry, thank you as always.
No problem. Thanks, George. See you, Kelly.
And Kelly, thank you as well.
Thanks, George. I appreciate it. That's what you pay me for, I guess.
I guess it is. Not much.
Very minimal. Very minimal.
Very minimal. Okay, after the break, Brad Logan's going to join us to talk the Ole Miss side of Ole Miss, Georgia. Then Jimmy Hyams at 3 o'clock to talk the Tennessee-Missouri game. We got two big ones this weekend that a lot of you are going to make appointment viewing for. So stick around. And then, near the end of the show, Kelly Holcomb's top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL at this moment.
Okay.
I'll give you a little hint on one thing. Deshaun Watson is not on that list.
No.
But
no,
he's number one in pay. Stick
Yes.
around. We got plenty coming.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Okay, before we get to Brad Logan, who knows more about Ole Miss than Colonel Rebel does, tomorrow on the show, yes, Chris Ballas from the Wolverine. And based on the stuff he laid on me today, holy moly, this is going to be one explosive interview that you're going to want to listen to. So please join us tomorrow. Okay, Brad Logan is on the line with us. There he is. Brad, you're not going to believe where I'm going to start this.
Okay.
I wonder if I've been a little naive about spying in college football. Do you think there's more of what Michigan is accused of than I believe or want to believe?
An unequivocal yes. I think it has been around for ages. I just think Michigan got caught. I think they were probably sloppy. Now, I don't know that I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody does it, but I guarantee you a lot more people than Michigan's doing this. So it's definitely something that I think the NCAA and its governing body will want to get to the bottom of. But at the end of the day, I think, they were very rampant in the way they were doing this, and I think they're going to get in quite a bit of trouble because of it.
Yeah. So on to your game Saturday, which is a huge one. Ole Miss at 8-1, and there's a part of me that wants to say Ole Miss is going to play the daylights out of Georgia because they've got a lot of weapons, a lot of pieces to the puzzle. But then in the back of my mind is the second half of the Alabama game where I thought Ole Miss threw up the white flag and said, no mas. They pulled a Roberto Duran for those who remember boxing in the 80s. Do you think that experience helps them this Saturday?
Yes, and I think the game that I really look to that really helps this team is the LSU game last year, George. Ole Miss is driving up 17-0 and an opportunity to really put it on LSU. I don't think they scored until the fourth quarter after that. LSU would mount a ferocious comeback and really run away with the game in the first and second half. So I think games like that make a team better. But as you've seen, George, the teams that Lane Kiffin coach take the identity of the coach. And for whatever reason, this team plays loose. Lane Kiffin pointed out in the press conference that quarterback Jackson Dart came to him and said, Coach, we just scored too fast. We scored too fast when Ole Miss went up 38-35, they were down 35-31. So it's just a situation where this team really believes in itself. They're very confident. I think the defense plays well enough to win. We could sit here and debate A&M, and I don't think we can take anything away from Max Johnson and how well he played in the second half. And Bobby Petrino called a great game. He along with Jimbo Fisher in the second half. But Ole Miss has just done something they did this past Saturday that they've done all year. That's win close games. And you could even go back to last year under Lane Kiffin's tutelage, how well this team plays in close games. And then I'll leave you with this: is Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. He's roughly around 73% in SEC night games on the road. The closest Ole Miss coach is like at 38% of winning night games on the road in the SEC. So Lane Kiffin is doing things in Oxford that Georgia has not been done before.
Turn on the lights then is what I think you're telling me. So we know Georgia does not have Brock Bowers, and we know that Missouri played them really tough for 3 quarters, maybe a tad bit more than that. Do you think this is the game where the lack of Brock Bowers finally is the Achilles heel?
What's interesting to me, George, is, digging back through the annals of history and looking at Kirby Smart teams, looking at Mark Richt teams, and then looking, and Ray Goff teams, and just going back as far as I can, it always appears that Georgia has that guy, and they have that running back, they have that linebacker, they have that wide receiver. Not to take anything away from the talent that's on that team. Obviously, it's a very talented team, but it just doesn't feel like Georgia has that dude this year. And I think that obviously was Brock Bowers, and then he went down. I don't know. I feel like, judging by everyone that I've talked to, it just feels like this could be a year that Georgia is gettable. I had interaction on social channels with someone that covers the ACC, and they said that Georgia's really down this year. And I have a hard time saying that Georgia's down when Georgia haven't lost a game in Sanford Stadium since 2019. That's a long time. And you're doing something right if you're winning that many home games and you're winning as many games as Kirby Smart is winning. One interesting stat, George, you'll appreciate this. Kirby Smart's first loss came to the hands of the Ole Miss Rebels back when he first took the job, and Ole Miss beat Kirby Smart in Georgia in Oxford a few years ago under the tutelage of Hugh Freeze. But yeah, I don't know that Ole Miss wins this game, George, but I think you could not set it up any better for Ole Miss. I think Georgia's gettable. I think Ole Miss is playing at a very high level. I don't know if they win the game, but I think the situation lends itself to give Ole Miss fans a lot of hope going into the game on Saturday.
2:30 on CBS and Channel 5 locally. Kelly, say hello to Brad Logan.
Brad, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Kelly, good to see you again.
Yes, sir. You too. Hey, talk a little bit about Jackson Dart, man. And I told George yesterday when I played, I'm a little jealous because I couldn't do the things that he does. I can't do the things that I couldn't run like all these guys. But has he been kind of a surprise over the last couple of years? I mean, he's playing really well right now, and he reminds me a lot of Matt Corral that was there. He seems like a tough kid. He's bigger than Matt Corral, obviously, but Matt Corral was not scared to throw his body around. But it seems like, I mean, he had over 300 yards passing last week, 3 touchdowns, can run the football. Just talk a little bit about him and what he's meant this year to the Ole Miss Rebels.
Yeah, Kelly, he had just south of 400 yards passing against Texas A&M. And we asked him in the postgame press conference how he felt he played. And he said as a college player, it's probably the best he's ever played. And, he was very emotional when, if you'll remember, when the Texas A&M defender did the Ric Flair low crotch shot move on Ole Miss's Mike Capetis, the right tackle. You could see Quinshon Judkins and Jackson Dart, and it's almost like that ignited the team. And this is a team that's always played well together, and they play well off each other. They've got one of the best receivers in the conference in Trey Harris that had another huge day catching the football, 11 catches, just south of 300 yards, and had the touchdown. So if they can get Quinshon going, and you know what, Kelly, as you know, I mean, you're a very talented quarterback. If you have a surrounding cast that can help you, that just makes you better. If you have the running backs that'll hit the holes they're supposed to, they listen, they don't turn it over. You have the receivers that get separation, that run the right routes, that do the right things, and most importantly, do the little things right. That makes for a really good quarterback. And I think with the way that Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. are calling plays, I think they're calling plays for Jackson Dart to succeed. And I think he's taking advantage of that. And just seeing him get better each week just goes to show me that, and George, we talked about this the last time I was on the show, is I believe firmly that having Spencer Sanders, having Walker Howard in fall camp only made Jackson Dart better, only making him understand this is going to be a competition when it really wasn't. But I agree with you, George. You pointed that out, and I agree. I think having that competition absolutely made him a better quarterback.
Talk a little bit about Lane Kiffin, because I tell people all the time, and you even said it earlier about a personality of a coach. A team takes on the personality of a coach. And I've seen guys, and I've played for guys that are rah, 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 and they get so crazy. And then in close games, players play crazy. And it seems like that he's winning these close games this year. And a lot of it has to do with the coach's mentality and a personality. Yeah. And I think if you look at Lane Kiffin, just talk a little bit about how he's calmed this team down and made them play and made them win the close games.
Yeah, Kelly, he's now 4th all-time in winning percentage in Ole Miss history, and he's 2nd behind Coach Johnny Vaught. And that's very, very, very elite company. What Lane Kiffin has done just from a winning standpoint is second to none to what's happened at Ole Miss. He just hasn't had much of a letdown. Now, last year, as you guys will remember, when the Auburn job came open, the team kind of let down because Lane Kiffin's job, his name got floated, and Ole Miss goes on the road, plays terrible against Arkansas, loses at home to Mississippi State, and then loses the bowl game. That's the main letdown we've seen. I do not foresee anything like that happening this year. I think Lane Kiffin likes this team, and luckily for Ole Miss fans, his kids really enjoy Oxford, and I think he enjoys living in Oxford. So I think we could see Lane Kiffin in town for maybe 2-3 more years, but I think there are bigger jobs out there. I think the more he wins at Ole Miss, the more attractive he becomes as a head coach at a much larger job. And I think just by looking at those numbers, how successful he is on the field, the way he runs the program, and from a recruiting standpoint, George and Kelly, I just looked earlier today, Ole Miss has 7 out of the top 10 players in the state of Mississippi the 2024 players committed to Ole Miss. 7 out of 10.
Wow.
That's never happened before. And this is a pretty good class in Mississippi in 2024, not to mention the inroads they're making with the 25 class. Now, it helps that down the road Mississippi State's not doing well. They may have a coaching change at the end of the year. So that helps Ole Miss, obviously. But I think the way they're recruiting Mississippi, and Ole Miss gets caught up with being the transfer program, they're actually recruiting at a pretty high level. So I think all in all, Lane Kiffin is a really good head football coach and runs a really good program.
George, you want to ask a question because you're looking like you want me to be finished.
I think Billy's got something.
I got one for you, Brad. The Nick Saban influence. It felt like that, Kiffin's time in Alabama with Saban, and Saban's done this to a lot of coaches, and I'm sure you've heard from Lane about this. How much did that impact his career, and do you think it sort of catapulted him to maybe have the confidence to go coach at the SEC level?
Billy, I don't think I could give a suffice answer to that question because I think he made that big of an impact. You can listen to Lane's press conference, and I've had the privilege of listening to most of them in person, and he sounds like Nick Saban. He uses the same euphemisms. He uses the same hand gestures. He answers questions very similar to Nick. He's a little bit more off the cuff. Obviously, he's more, I don't know that Nick has a social channel, but obviously Lane does have a social channel. And so Lane is much more vocal on social channels, but I think just from a press conference standpoint, and you can watch Lane during the game. I mean, I think his mannerisms and I think end of the day, Billy, it's a good question. I do think it made a huge impact on Kiffin. Remember, prior to that, Lane Kiffin had been through Al Davis and the Raiders. He had been left on the tarmac at USC. He was kind of a wounded duck.
Oh,
he admitted he was in pretty deep spot, pretty dark spot, and he admitted that Nick Saban kind of extended the olive branch to him, and he's very grateful to Saban that allowed him to do that. Of course, then he goes off to Florida Atlantic and does well, and then becomes a head coach at Ole Miss, and he's been really good for Ole Miss in Oxford.
I'd love to put a mic, one of those mini clip-on mics on Nick and Lane in those pregame talks. When they get at midfield, because I feel like you don't know what Saban's saying, but I feel like you have a pretty good idea about what Lane might be saying.
How are you? Yeah. Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, on short notice, thank you for doing this.
Always a pleasure. Looking forward to it, and I've never been to Athens. So I'm excited about going. It's kind of a bucket list for me. I've been blessed to go to a number of SEC programs. Ole Miss does not play in Athens very much at all, and so Ole Miss is only, I think, 4-12, I think, in Athens, and 0-4, I believe, in night games. So the numbers are not good for Ole Miss, but you know what? That's never stopped Lane Kiffin before. So looking forward to it, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on.
Hey, get out there. If you get a chance, get there the night before, kind of get out amongst everybody. Athens is a cool place. And from a press box standpoint, from a broadcaster feel, open air. Yeah. And I love doing games out of there. I didn't always like the result, but I love doing games there. You'll love it.
Yeah, that's what everybody told me. The press box is one of the best in the conference. Yeah, so I'm excited.
You're in for a treat.
And by the way, our good friend Kevin Ingram says hello. I had a pretty in-depth conversation with Kevin. Talked about Kelly back in the day, told some stories about you and George. So I'll allow Kevin to relay those stories to you, and we will not put them on the show today.
I've heard them before, believe me. Hey, thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.
Always a pleasure.
Good stuff. Brad Logan. He is wired to Ole Miss big time. After the break, stat of the day, and then Jimmy Hyams to give us the Tennessee side of it all as they get ready to take a Missouri that nobody saw on this level. Stay with us.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. On Monday, November the 27th, I'll be playing host to the 3rd annual Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night here at the Strike and Spare on Lebanon Pike. Here's where I need your help. We have 64 foursomes that will play with 64 sports celebrities. We've done a good job in getting the foursomes, and now I need some of you as single players to sign up and get involved. The cost is $200. The proceeds will benefit the Last Minute Toy Store and the Martha O'Brien Center. And what I promise you that night is great bowling, maybe not, great food, a ton of fun, and in fact, I'll make this claim: more fun than any charity sports event you have ever been involved in. To get involved, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Let me know whether you want to be in the 6 to 8 p.m. shift or the 8 to 10, and get ready for a night of bowling and fun you'll never forget.
Top of the hour on a Tuesday. It's time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville, 204 East Depot Street. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304.
Billy, let me say this. Jimmy Hyams, I know, can hear this.
Yep.
Jimmy, if it looks like we're bombing on this question, get ready, because I'm going to toss that hand grenade right at you.
I'm ready.
I love it.
All right, here we go. We're going hockey.
Oh,
so
good Lord.
Buckle up. Through their first 11 games of the season, the San Jose Sharks have a record of 0-10-1. What NHL team holds the record for longest winless streak to start a season?
Jimmy, what's the answer?
Good luck, fellas.
Oh, my goodness.
Carolina.
Let me. What's your level of confidence on that?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 0.
0. You know what? What the heck? Carolina sounds great. Let's go with it. The New York Rangers.
15.
Great looking uniform, but apparently whatever year that was, not a very good start.
No.
Wow. Okay,
that's one of the hardest questions.
So are we now officially into the 3 o'clock hour?
Well, I think Kelly wants to say
no,
something.
I know he does.
I just like Billy. I know you and your buddy are coming up with these things, and I think he's doing mostly, but like, who comes up with that? Like, nobody knows that. Make it gracious.
Well, word is, the Rangers really suffered that year because Michigan was spying on them, and they were getting it to the opponents. And so the Rangers didn't have a chance. I mean, everything that they ran, the opponents knew.
Everybody's doing that, Jimmy.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Jimmy,
Unbelievable. Yep.
so this is the perfect intro to you because tomorrow Chris Ballas from the Wolverine is going to be on with us. And I talked to him earlier today off the air. And, man, he unloaded some juicy stuff on me. So I'm starting to think that I have really undersold mentally. Are there a lot of schools out there truthfully doing this kind of stuff? Because to me, it's the Astros trash banging on the college football level. So I'll just ask you, it's not your first rodeo of covering college football. Do you think there's a lot of this going on at a lot of different schools?
My initial reaction is probably not, because why is it just now coming to light? Now, do I think that teams have attempted to steal signals from other teams? Yes, I do. But to the extent of sending people to their games to scout them, I'm not sure. And there's such an incredible paper trail with Michigan that I'm like, how could this be the only situation where it's happened where people didn't leave a paper trail before? So there's a part of me that thinks sign stealing, yes, but sending staff members out to do this, I'm not sure that it's that if it's that common. Do I think it's happened with others? Yes, but I think it's rare. Sign stealing, not, but I think it's rare to be sending people to ball games and blatantly buying tickets and leaving a paper trail.
Can you, I know we didn't bring you on here for this, but what the heck, I'm going to ask it. Do you see any scenario where Jim Harbaugh is Michigan's coach next year?
I do. If Michigan wins the national championship for some reason, I think they turned a blind eye. You mean he outcoached everybody? I remember, and for all of the Derek Dooley's faults, I remember him saying one time, the better you are as a college football player, the more chances you get. And he was of that opinion as well. He would do that too. So I think if Michigan wins it all, I think they'll say, hey, good job, Jim. Now, Harbaugh might say, I've had enough of this, I'm going NFL. But I think if he has great success, I think Michigan somehow will turn a blind eye to this and want to keep him.
Okay, on to the big one involving Tennessee Saturday in Columbia, Missouri. I guess deep down, I never saw this coming with Missouri. To me, they've been the surprise of the SEC. Is it just Brady Cook, or is there a lot more to this that's more of a program builder?
I think it's more of a program builder. I'll say this. A year ago, George, whenever Missouri came in and gave Eli Drinkwitz an extension and a raise, and I thought, what a foolish thing to do. The guy had a losing record at that time. Now it doesn't look so foolish. I think that Brady Cook is having a tremendous year. Last year, he was a really good runner. Now he's still a really good runner, but he has elevated his passing skills. Last year against Tennessee, he ran for over 100 yards. So I thought he was a run-first pass, but now he's really become a good passer. He's got the best receiver in the SEC, if not the nation, in Luther Burden III. The Cody Schrader's a pretty good story. Came from Truman University as a walk-on. He goes to Missouri, and now he's had some really good games. But he's also a player that Tennessee completely shut down last year. I think he had 25 yards on 10 carries. So, I think that they've really done a nice job. The thing that they had to fix, their offense was actually pretty decent last year, but their defense was horrible in many games. Now, having said that, while Tennessee blew them out last year, Georgia struggled to beat them, right? And so maybe whatever Missouri does gives Georgia trouble, but what Tennessee does gives Missouri trouble. So we'll see if Missouri's defense, which has given up 66 and 62 points in the last two games to Tennessee, we'll see if their defense has figured out Tennessee's offense.
Jimmy, how would you classify Tennessee's season so far? And I guess where I'm coming from, there are times where it feels great. There are times where it's a little below that. It's certainly not bad. But what level would you put it at right now?
Well, for me, it's pretty much as expected. because I didn't believe in this plug and play. I wasn't a believer. I predicted before the year Tennessee would go from averaging about 46 points to 38. Well, they're a little bit below that right now. They still have a chance to get to 38. And I thought they would average about 60 yards fewer per game than they did a year ago, because I did not think Joe Milton was as good as Hendon Hooker. And I thought Tennessee would miss Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt, who won the Blitnikoff. So I thought the offense would take a step back. I thought the defense would be a little bit better. I thought that going into the season, now this is going in, I picked them 9-3, and I had Florida as one of the 50-50 games on the schedule. I had about 3 or 4 50-50 games. I had them losing to Alabama. I had them losing to Georgia. So they're still on pace to do that. They're still on pace to go 9-3. So I'm not real surprised at where they are right now. Now, if they lose to Missouri and they lose to Georgia and they lose a bowl game, well, okay, then that's underachieving to me. But they're about where I thought they'd be at this point.
So it's still out there to be determined.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. You ever had to deal with Kelly Holcomb before?
No, I have not.
We talked a couple of weeks ago, did we not? Or was that when he was in SEC Media Days?
We talked to Media Days.
SEC Media Days.
Yeah, we did. We did. Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Kelly. How are you doing?
I'm sorry that you know George. I apologize for that.
George,
this goes on all the time.
One of the things about George that a lot of people don't know, he's really a good bowler.
No question. I'm glad you said that.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a guy in the right corner of this picture that doesn't believe that.
George is like a gnat. He won't leave you alone. That's probably how y'all became friends. He just swarms around you all day, and you like hit at him, and he won't go anywhere.
Like a buzzer.
Right.
So let me ask you this. So last week, of course, we know that it's UConn. They beat them 59-3, I guess. But Joe Milton, he's, everybody's talked about him all year. He's got this big arm. But do you see, it looks like the passing game's kind of, he's not a Hendon Hooker. We understand that. You just said that. But with all they lost Jalen Hyatt, they lost Cedric Tillman, they lost Hendon Hooker, they lost 2 offensive linemen to the NFL. So that's pretty good guys that you got to replace this past year. But do you see the passing game coming on and hitting its stride right at the right time when they got to play these really, really critical games in November?
Kelly, I do. I think that the last 3 games that Joe Milton has played very efficiently. Goodness, he was 17-20 against Kentucky. He was 11-14 against UConn. I thought he played pretty well against Alabama, much better in the first half than the second. I think what's happened, and Josh Heupel said something after the UConn game that I thought was interesting. He said, look, Joe Milton's 23 years old. He's been around. This is his 6th year in college football, but this is it was only his 13th start in Tennessee's system. And so I think even with as much as he's been around, I think that Tennessee was still trying to figure out how best to use him. So I think they are playing to his strengths and away from his weaknesses. I think they have demanded that he run the football more by calling some quarterback draws and some option plays and telling him this is supposed to be a zone read, but you're keeping it regardless. So he has to be a running threat for this offense to work at optimum efficiency. And so he's been doing that. And so he's been, by the way, against Alabama, if you take out the sacks, he had 12 carries for 93 yards. That's pretty darn good. So I think he's playing better. I think he's more confident. He's more comfortable. The coaches have figured out the plays to call for him. And so I like where Tennessee's offense is right now.
So talk about the run game too. Are you surprised at how the run game has been so efficient this year and how they've been able to control the line of scrimmage up front on the offensive side of the ball?
Yes. Now, I did like the running backs going in. I like Jalen Wright. Right. I predicted before the year. I thought Wright could get 1,200 yards. Jabari Small has had a decent year. And now the one that surprised me is Dylan Sampson. He's really made a huge leap forward. He's become a very good back. He's got a nose for the end zone. When you get him inside the 10-yard line, look out. He's also a good receiver out of the backfield. He's got good hands. So the run game has been better. But I'll say this, as far as the run game, Tennessee is much more efficient in the run game when they spread the field and the opponent only has 5 or 6 in the box. When they bunch it, when they go 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, and they bring everybody in the line of scrimmage, they're not very good. This is not an offensive line that's real physical. They don't blow you off the line of scrimmage. But if they only have to block 5 or 6, they can get in your way and allow those running backs to find a seam. So a good offensive line when they spread it, but not so good when it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1.
Yeah, that's what Rich Rodriguez used to do when he was at Michigan. He spread people out so he could run the football. So it seems kind of like what they're doing. So the tight ends, it seems like the tight ends are kind of coming on with Warren and the Castles kid as well. They're starting to implement them a little bit more in the offense.
I think McCallan Castles, the transfer that is really hitting his stride. He caught the touchdown pass from Nico Iamaleava the other night. Jacob Bourne didn't have a target. They used him more for blocking, but I do think Tennessee, I think those 2 tight ends are good, solid players. I think Warren's a good player. I would not be surprised to see him make an NFL roster next year. Castles is a guy that I think even has more of an upside. And it's taken a while to kind of figure out how to get him involved. And quite frankly, he dropped some passes earlier this season. I don't know if he was nervous or what, but he's coming around. So I think both of them have a chance to make an NFL roster. And I think you'll continue to see Tennessee use them in the passing game.
Okay, so this is my last question. So give me a little bit about what do you think are the keys to the game? Because this Missouri team, I mean, is really good. They're a good football team, and the Brady Cook kid can throw the ball. Like you said, he's got one of the more dynamic receivers in the country. They can score. Just give me, what do you think the keys of the game for Tennessee is?
Well, one for Tennessee. Now, I mentioned the last 2 years they've scored 66 and 62 points on Missouri. 2 years ago in Columbia, they ran for over 400 yards. Last year, Tennessee gained over 700 yards against Missouri. I don't know if Missouri's figured out how to stop Tennessee's run game. It's been really problematic. So I think one of the keys is for Tennessee to run at will, which they have done the last 2 years against Missouri. Another key for Tennessee is defensively, they cannot allow Brady Cook to run wild on them. He gained over 100 yards last year. When they rush him, they've got to keep him in the pocket. They cannot allow him to scramble and gain positive yards doing that. So the pass rush is going to be a key for him as well. A year ago, they did a nice job of containing Cody Schrader in the run game, and Luther Burden didn't hurt him much either. So they've got to do a good job of containing Luther Burden. I guess if I were to add one more, for Joe Milton to continue to play as efficiently as he has. If he does that, I think Tennessee wins. Now, having said that, Tennessee may need 38 points to win the ball game, but I do like Tennessee's chances in Columbia.
Jimmy, last one here for it. Tennessee's got Georgia, right, coming into Neyland here in a couple of weeks.
What are you trying to get tickets from him?
Yeah. Jimmy, do you have any extras for me?
Yeah, but they're not in the stadium.
Jimmy, put yourself in the shoes of a Tennessee fan. What does a fan want to learn about their team Saturday in Columbia to be confident that they can beat Georgia?
Well, the one thing they need to see is the secondary to play better. The secondary has had moments where they played pretty well. I thought they did a nice job against South Carolina. They've had a couple of other games where I thought they were decent, but they've also had too many holes in the secondary. I thought there were too many holes in the secondary against UConn. Now they do miss Kamal Haddon, who I think was their best cover corner.
Yeah.
And so that injury has hurt them. But one of the things that they've kind of relied on is the secondary at times probably has been made to look better than it is because Tennessee's had a tremendous pass rush. Tennessee was averaging 4 sacks a game going into the UConn game. And so they've done a really good job of putting pressure on the quarterback. So I think what the fans want to see from Tennessee is how will this secondary fare against Missouri? If Missouri is able to throw at will against Tennessee, then that does not bode well for playing Georgia.
It's going to be interesting. 2:30. Well, you know what? I goofed earlier on Ole Miss, Georgia. I said that was 2:30. That's the night game.
Yeah.
Tennessee, Missouri is the 2:30 on CBS.
Jimmy, you surprised by that?
No, not really. I thought there was a pretty good chance Tennessee would have a 3:30 game against Missouri and Georgia. It's kind of hard to ignore what Tennessee's doing. Mm-hmm. And so not really. I'm almost become immune to some of the selections from TV about moving people around. My goodness.
Save me a ticket next week.
I will.
Hey,
George, I don't want to cut this short, but I've got to go practice my bowling.
Yes.
So, yeah, I do. Yeah, there's some
Fountain
City lanes over here.
Hey, Jimmy, are you coming down here to that?
No, I'm not. I just want to record a score and compare it to Georgia.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. Good.
Oh.
I'm trying to boycott it. I'm trying to boycott as well because they don't put me in the opening of this show. So I told him that I'm probably not going to come.
Jimmy, I'll explain it off air to you.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
Hey, guys, enjoyed it. Y'all have a great rest of the day.
Thanks,
Jimmy
brother.
Hyams joining us from Knoxville. Two big games Saturday. Wow.
I'm glad they're not at the same time because that would have been tough to
that would not have been good.
laser in on both.
Yeah. We'll laser in on both.
Oh, we will.
Oh, there's no question about it. Okay, Kelly, I want to make sure before we go to the break and then go to your quarterback segment, that list you gave me was in an order 1 through 10 of here's how you'd rate them?
Absolutely.
Oh, we're going to have some fun.
Good, because you think Deshaun Watson needs to be in there?
No, I do not.
I mean, good gracious. And you know what? We'll see who I put in. But, you know, if Kirk Cousins was still well, he would be in there as well. But
no
I
question.
put a guy that plays like Kirk Cousins in there, and you know who that would be.
Okay, let's talk about it after the break. Kelly's top 10 quarterbacks up to the moment. You've been dying to know the answer, and now we will reveal. Stay tuned.
I'm sure. Holding the.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Oh, yeah. Love it. That's NFL music.
That's what they should use for every intro to every NFL game.
Kelly, are we keeping you awake?
Yeah, no, like right now I'm about to fall asleep
This
with
is
you.
the most important segment of the day. Wake up,
I mean, this
Kelly.
is your big moment.
And the thing about it is, I don't even get to hear the music because I don't get it on my side. I don't know what's going on, Billy. It's something that you've screwed up, obviously, again, and I can't hear it.
Wow.
I mean, you said you was going to come up here to my house and fix all this trash, but I've yet to see you.
Why is it? You're just now saying this?
Man, I hadn't heard this in 2 months.
Hold on a second.
You know, like in the opening, I don't even hear it. I just hear George start talking. I don't know when I'm supposed to come on or anything.
So let me ask you this. If Billy were to show up, would he have the pass to the gated community?
Well, I was just about to say that. I'm not sure I'm going to let him in if he comes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's not a gated community, George. It's just 2 houses that's got a gate.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's gated side by each.
But we had, when we first moved in, we had some folks from the Nashville.
The other house
Yeah, but we had some folks from the Nashville metropolitan area that tried to rob our houses, so that's why we put a gate up.
Oh, well, no, that's a good reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to tell that to Pokey next time he rips you.
Pokey's the one that brought gated community in. Okay, so on to the important stuff. Kelly Holcomb, former National Football League quarterback, rates the top 10 from the beginning of the season till this moment, to this very moment. Let's start at number 10. This is my one disagreement with Kelly. I think you've undersold Tua.
I may have. I mean, I may have. And you know what? It's really funny that you say that because when I was looking at it, I said, Tua may be a little bit further up, but I at least put him in the top 10. So
yes, you did.
I think he's a good player, man. He's with a really good football team. And, you know, he's just now getting into the National Football League. Hopefully he gets no more concussions.
Oh, let's knock on wood for that.
Yeah, because we want to see him play because the guy is a good football player. And he probably deserves to be, you know, rated a little bit further up. But, you know, hey, it's the first one.
Well, and this is the first season he's really come into his own. I mean, last year, a little bit last year too with Tyreek, but he's finally gotten to, you know, a real number one receiver.
Number 9, I think, is a really good acknowledgement from Kelly. This guy, Jared Goff, was kind of on the scrap heap. The Rams couldn't wait to get rid of him, even though he had led them to a Super Bowl. And Kelly, he's gone to Detroit, and I am very impressed with his mental toughness.
Absolutely. I mean, the guy can play. I mean, he took the LA Rams to the Super Bowl. He lost, but he still took them there. It takes something to get a team to the Super Bowl. You can't be just chopped liver and get a team to the Super Bowl. And he's gone to Detroit, and he's played really well. Dan Campbell's building a team around him, and they gave him the keys to the Corvette a long time ago, and he's done some good things with it, and it's given people some energy in Detroit, where that's been the armpit of the National Football League for many years now. So he's, you know, I think everybody fell in love with the team and probably Jared Goff when they were on Hard Knocks, and Dan Campbell, good coach, done some really good things, and I think they're on the up and up.
I think they are too, and I think the only question is how far up the ladder. Are they at Cowboy level? Are they at 49er level? Are they at Philly level? We're about to learn that in the next 6 weeks.
Right.
Number 8 on the list, man, when he got out of the pocket Sunday, Dak Prescott was a beast.
You just want him to win some big games, George. I mean, I like Dak Prescott. I've always liked him. I learned of his story when he was at Mississippi State. I think they did something on College Game Day about his mom. You know, she battled cancer and lost her fight with cancer. So he's one of those guys that you really want to root for. But you know, everybody hates on Dak because he's part of America's team. But like, he's a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. There's no doubt about that. And when he's playing good and completing balls, they can win games. He's just got to get over that hump, and he's got to play well when the playoffs start, if they make it.
And look, who knows? We're not there internally to know whether it's really McCarthy or not. But this is a franchise that in recent years has had way more clock management issues than we have in the NFL.
Yeah.
It looks like it's McCarthy, but without being there, it's impossible to know.
Feels like a put up or shut up season.
Well, clock issues are the head coach. I can remember being in Indianapolis, and we would talk about stuff in there for hours, man, about clock management and things like that. And then when there was a rule change by the competition committee, Bruce and Tom Moore would be in there, and we would talk about that in length about what we're going to do and how we're going to operate. So yeah, that falls on a head coach. He's got to be up on that stuff, and he's got to tell his assistants, hey, I want these guys schooled up on what's going on.
There are certain days where number 7 is really close to number 1.
Yes.
Oh, man. They have slaughtered Detroit and Seattle in back-to-back weeks. He's on his A game.
Unbelievable athlete, man. Always been an unbelievable athlete. If he can just stay healthy, he runs the ball. He's just – I didn't have that, obviously. I say that every day, but, just the things that he does. He is the leader of that football team. You can tell that. And he's learned how to stay in the pocket a little bit and be more accurate with the football. So you can tell the guy's a hard worker.
Number 6 has a cannon for an arm.
Yes, he does. Ooh. And he's got the Jacksonville Jaguars rolling in the same division as the Tennessee Titans. But, man, he ever since Doug Peterson went down there, he kind of changed his outlook, because I've heard from Marcus. We had Marcus on months ago, but I've heard from Marcus how he was just in such the doldrums and just didn't have any confidence. And then when Doug Peterson took over the job, man, he's flourishing, and he's looking like the guy that was at Clemson.
I can't stop thinking about the clip. I don't know if it was from NFL Films or what, but after the game, Bengals had just destroyed the Jags, and Burrow tells Lawrence, "Hey, keep your head up. It'll get better." And it's gotten better. He found a head coach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number 5 is a guy that we all have up there. But, Kelly, I wonder if there's an even higher ceiling that he has not yet reached.
Man, that dude's good. He's got everything you want as a quarterback. He's got size. He's got accuracy. He's got the arm. I would love to have been a coach, to have coached him. He's tough too, man. He's really gritty. He's really tough. He's playing with a messed up middle finger on his left hand. He's played with cracked ribs before last year. He was not healthy the whole year, and the dude never comes out of the game. So the respect for his teammate from his teammates to him is sky high, man. They love the guy. They want to play for him. And you talked about it yesterday. Brandon Staley, the coach, man, he does some crazy stuff. But, I mean, if they can get it rolling, they're a playoff caliber team with him.
Yeah, they're a team that if they are on their A game, nobody's dying to play.
Last night was a perfect example of it.
Speaking of tough, number 4 is tough. Man, what he has made himself into, Kelly, is I mean, that's a 30 for 30.
It's amazing, George, because I went down there and watched him practice with my college coach, my quarterback coach, when he was at Alabama, and we were watching him drop, and Lane Kiffin was there as well. But when he got to the back of his drop, and we talked a little bit about this with Will Levis the other day with his feet, but Jalen Hurts would take a 5-step drop and he would jump at his back step. And when you do that, your shoulders go this way and your shoulders go that way, and you're not very accurate with the ball. And it used to bug the mess out of me to watch him play, because he would always roll out to the right and he was always not very accurate with the football. But, man, I've heard from a lot of people, he's a good character kid anyway, but I've heard from a lot of people just how much of a worker he is, and you could tell that he's put in the time, because he's accurate with that football now, and he's at the best place that can utilize his abilities with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Number 3 gets a lot of discussion. Kelly, I think they're putting too much on Josh Allen. And even though they're all giving it the don't make any mistakes, they're still forcing him into a lot of this, I think.
Well, it's just like what Chris Collinsworth was talking about the other night. He's kind of their run game. So you're right, George. They're putting so much pressure on him, and with all the defensive injuries that they've had, they used to be okay on defense. I didn't like their sit back and wait kind of style of defense, but I've never liked that. But with all the injuries they've had, they're putting so much pressure on him. I just hope he makes it through the season. He's kind of a physical specimen. I will say this, obviously with my old Bills, I still love them. I still like watching him play, but I just wish to this day still that he would take what the defense gives him. He puts the ball in too many dangerous areas a lot of times, but maybe that's just him feeling the heat that if I don't make plays, we're not going to win games. So he's ultra talented, man. He is ultra talented. He can run over people, which I wish he wouldn't do until the situation presents itself. But I think you're right, George. I think they're putting a lot on him, and he's so competitive, and you can tell that. But when that happens, you don't win a lot of games.
Kelly, people forget he came out of Wyoming. And
nobody wanted him out of high school, George.
Right, which is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. He only had one scholarship offer when he got finished with. I think he went to JUCO for a year, and he only had one scholarship offer. That guy literally did it himself. I'm sure he and his parents, but they mailed like videos to over 1,000 schools, and there was only one team to take him, and that was the University of Wyoming.
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
So let me ask you this: if you had one of these, I don't know, Battle of the Network Stars kind of thing, and the contest came down to Josh Allen, Joe Milton, who can throw it farther, who wins?
Joe Milton might get that one. I don't know. I know he's not a player like Josh Allen. I know that, but Joe Milton's got a cannon. So does Josh Allen. So I'm going to say Joe Milton, but I couldn't tell you that.
Well, if it was accuracy, like landing it in somewhere, it's easily
yes.
Josh Allen.
Easily Josh Allen, yes.
But, I mean, it'd be a heck of a competition to see at the Pro Bowl.
Absolutely.
Now, that would make the Pro Bowl a little more worth it.
Yeah, I heard something about Allen. I guess one player from a story of, training camp or something, he was at the goal line and he was on his knees and he threw it like 50, 60 yards.
Yeah, it's insane. Unbelievable. Number 2 is no surprise. Since the victory over San Fran, it became obvious that he's pretty darn close to 100%. And when he is, the accuracy and the Joe Cool about him makes Joe Burrow a number 2.
And I think people know this now, but he's more of an athlete than people give him credit for. I mean, he can get out of trouble.
Yeah.
And he just studies so much film and understands stuff, throws the ball on time. He knows what's happening. There's only a few times in a game that you confuse him and he'll take off running and he'll still get first downs. And he was kind of limited earlier in the season when they were losing those games because he couldn't run. I don't even know how he played with that calf contusion, but he's full strength now, and you can see what's happening. They're hitting their stride right at the right time.
So number 1 is not Daniel Jones.
No.
Number 1, as expected, is Patrick Mahomes. So, Kelly, I don't know whether he's been number 1 up till now or not. That's open for a little bit of debate. But it seems to me that it's gotten harder, that some of the weapons that have always been there for him are not there quite as much.
Well, I mean, Andy Reid's still going to get weapons for him, that's for sure. He understands that you have to have a quarterback in place. If you got a quarterback in place, now you can fill in around him. He obviously let Tyreek Hill go, but he's still got those guys. But Travis Kelce is kind of the key, man, because if Travis Kelce gets injured, if he gets hurt, that's who Patrick Mahomes looks to when he gets in trouble. He understands they've got this kinetic deal where he's a master at reading zone and reading man. And that's not easy a lot of times when you're talking to players. And he just understands stuff. He'll break off a route, and Patrick Mahomes knows what he's going to do before he does it. And they've got this sick telepathy that goes on between them. But the guy's been to 3 Super Bowls at his young age. He's won 2 of them. He's a good player. And you think you have him sometimes. I mean, people try to do different things against him, but they think they've got him. And then he squeaks out. He'll throw the ball or he'll take off running. So, man, he's a really good football player. And Andy Reid knows guys know how to use him. And until somebody, beats them, he's still going to be top.
So that's Kelly's 1 through 10. As I mentioned earlier, the only disagreement I had, I thought he undersold Tua, and
Where
that's
would you
it.
put Tua? Where would you put Tua?
I probably would have put him. I would have
Over
put
Dak?
him over Dak.
Lamar?
Okay.
Because right now,
Lamar's cooking.
yeah, right now, this is hard because
I mean, we're splitting hairs. Who's kidding?
Yeah, and
This
then
is not.
George calls me yesterday, Billy, like 30 minutes before the show, and I thought we were going to have it on the show yesterday. So good gracious, I was like breaking out in sweats, dude. You know what I'm saying? So I had to get it to him hurry.
You were not. That
No,
is
I
an
wasn't.
out and out lie.
It was, yeah. You're right. I wasn't.
No, Tua this year, I would probably put him maybe over Lamar, but I don't know. Lamar you could
It's
have an argument.
splitting hairs.
Trevor Lawrence. I mean, but playoffs, like if one of these guys that we don't expect makes the Super Bowl, like I think Dak, if he makes the Super Bowl, he could be in the top 5. I mean, would you say that, Kelly? Like a lot, like Dak has a chance to eke
he could go up.
Yeah.
Here's the question.
I just don't see it, though. I just don't see it. I don't see them beating the Eagles, man. I mean, the Eagles are really good.
Here's a question for you. Could C.J. Stroud have been on this list for the performance up to now?
Got to see more from C.J. Stroud, but, man, as a rookie, he's doing really good, and he's going to be a really good football player.
Man, you know the Texans are like, we hit the jackpot.
Yeah. Hey, we did it, fellas. We got it. We got our guy for the next 10 to 12 years, barring injury and getting people around him and us staying here. We got the guys because every head coach, if they got a guy in place at the quarterback position, you can build around him and stay there for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Credit to that staff. I mean, that culture looked like trash. And nothing against Cully or any of the coach before. I feel
D'Amico Ryans.
I mean, he's
the real deal.
Done a heck of a job.
Yes. Okay, after the break, we have a 1-game losing streak to overcome in Plaster Bet of the Day. Am I crying over it? Nah. I was 6-1-1 over the weekend.
We've moved on from that. We've moved on from that, George.
I don't see you have. I have not. Anyway, we'll try to get a 1-game winning streak going. Please stick around.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Final segment on a Tuesday. Vanderbilt and Presbyterian tonight, 7 o'clock at Memorial. Predators are in Calgary, 8 o'clock. Puck drop tonight. And then Nashville SC also in action. Game 2 of their playoff series against Orlando City tonight at 8 o'clock over at Geodis. A lot of action tonight, also in the NBA, but we'll see where George is going. With Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Let's check out what happened last night. And George has already gone through that loss.
Oh, God. The Jets offense. Oh.
Can't dwell on it for too long.
Oh, no. It's like being a relief pitcher. You got to move on, and I have. But the bad thing is I moved on the minute the punt return went for a touchdown. I said to myself, you're in trouble.
That was one of those. Yeah. It was over early.
Yeah.
And
Billy got to see the fireman. He got to see Fireman Bill.
I knew it. I started watching. I can't remember. I guess it was like late first quarter. I turned the TV on, and the first thing I see was him, and I was like, "That's him."
Oh yeah,
that's him.
I had never known like they had that guy. I mean, I didn't know they were like he had a name. I thought it was just kind of a random fan at first, but he had the hat.
No. It's a great tradition.
He's been doing that for years and years. It's awesome too when he does it when you're in person and you see it because the whole crowd gets quiet. He gets up there and he gets quiet, and it's a pretty cool thing in sports to see.
The Jets have an underrated atmosphere, I think, and I mean I don't know if you can really separate. Like, is there a big difference between Giants and Jets fans and atmospheres at MetLife?
Well, they're both pretty nasty, but the Jets are the New York team. Giants is the New Jersey team. You know that, right, Billy?
Well, now Giants. Would we say Giants is a little more corporate?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question. The Jets are just the Jets are just straight up Philadelphia folks, man.
Blue collar,
nasty blue collar. Now I will say this: when the Jets or not the Jets, but the Giants. When they call you out there in pregame, when the pregame announcements come and they present the starting lineups, I went out there because I started against them. I went out there and, they go, Kelly Hogan from Middle Tennessee State University, and the whole crowd goes, sucks.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't think that from Giants fan because I think they're, wine and cheese, but
yeah.
But they've got a little Section 303 in them.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so tonight we're going with a real ratings grabber. We're going to take Northern Illinois at home -10 against Ball State.
Wait, Ball State must be awful.
Oh, the bad thing is my buddy Mike New is the coach, and they're not very good. I believe, Kelly, I believe sections will be available tonight.
That's every MAC game almost.
Oh.
I mean, the only people there are the students that just want to be on TV and
first of all,
take their
most
shirts
of the time,
off in the snow.
It's frozen.
Yeah,
I mean it's really cold.
It was snowing. Wasn't it last week? Where it was snowing.
So I mean it's a tough deal. But
when I was at Middle, George, we played Northern Illinois. We went up there with Coach Donnelly, and they had a nice big home side. The visiting side looked like high school.
Yes.
Good gracious. And we beat them. They were Division I at that time, and we beat them.
Kelly, I've done a game at Northern Illinois, and I will tell you it was not one of the thrills of my life.
It's not.
So let's end the show by letting people know again tomorrow. We have got a deal that is going to get your attention. Chris Ballas is with a publication called The Wolverine, and he is wired deep into what's going on in Michigan. We've had him on before. The stuff he laid out to me today about where he thinks all this is going, I'll just put it this way. If you only watch one interview that we do in the entire year, this is the one.
It's going to be good.
Wow. That's big, George.
This is the one. Man, I'm telling you, it is going to get your attention. So
is he going to put, George, you think he'll put out there all the stuff that he told you?
I don't know. I know that some of it is what other people he believes are about to report. So
okay,
gotcha. Things he doesn't get into, but he told me today he sees no chance that Harbaugh is able to be there next year, and I don't either. I don't see how, short of winning the national title, which Jimmy threw out earlier, which I think is the one thing that might do it, and they may be good enough, but I know this. If this team wins a national title with all the swirl around them, man, they will have
asterisks. Yeah, asterisks by it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, and if you don't get everything out of Chris Ballas you originally want, it won't be without effort from George. He's going to try to eke everything out.
Absolutely. So hope you'll join us tomorrow. That interview will be live at 2:20 p.m. Kelly, behave until then. Get your sleep. Get your rest. See you then.
Try. I need you
Billy,
to sleep.
you behave.
I'll try.
Go Northern Illinois.